Hi, Point family. This is Tim Gillen here, and I just wanted to take a moment and give an update on behalf of the elders on just where things stand, just with all this craziness with the virus, and just to give you all an update. As I'm sure you're all aware, the last month or so, there's been a substantial uptick in infections in the Austin area and throughout Texas even, and it's getting to the point where it's been stressing the hospitals and just the healthcare professionals around. And as a result, we've seen increased just measures and whatnot in an attempt to kind of button down and bend the curve back down, maybe the way things were back in later spring. And so, so we had previously said that we were going to forego having our Sunday gatherings at the building, I think through last Sunday. And so the elders have gathered and talked, and we have looked around at some guidance just from just government and whatnot. And we, at this point, are going to just go ahead and, for planning purposes, and to for y'all to just to know where we're thinking and where we're going. There's going to be no Sunday gatherings until I believe it's September 13th, the Sunday after Labor Day. That's not a guarantee for that day, and we're going to continue to monitor the situation. If by some miraculous turn of events that there's a substantial drop and that it's deemed safe to gather again before, then by all means we're flexible. We're not trying to be locked in. We're just trying to maintain wisdom and maintain being a good neighbor, good citizens, and a good witness to our world, to do what we can to help just combat the spread of the virus. Now obviously that comes as a cost. I know, just not just from within the church, but all around, that there's just a spirit of weariness, a spirit of detachment, a spirit of loneliness. I know I've felt that plenty, and I sometimes look around and I'm fortunate. I have my family around me. I have neighbors. I have just the other elders, coworkers I connect with in my DNA group. And even with all that, just being in my house all the time, or just not being able to live life like I was used to it, I feel a deep sense of disconnection at times. And so I wanted to speak to that briefly. I know I'm not alone. And during this confusing time that, if you're like me, there was that burst of initial energy when this was new and these things, just everything started shutting down, and there was a real enthusiasm even for kind of doing your part and really trying to be responsible. And I still feel that burden, but a lot of the enthusiasm has kind of drained away, and this has sort of turned into a new reality, and it's just kind of drudgery. And we're still people. And so we have to balance a lot of things. We want to balance being good citizens. We want to balance caring for our neighbors. And there are those in our communities and even in our Point family who are more vulnerable, who maybe have pre-existing conditions, or the virus doesn't attack everyone equally. And so we want to do our part to not spread, to do our part. There's even like the asymptomatic carriers and spread and those kinds of things. But we can't lose ourselves in that, right? And we're still functioning human beings. We still need to have just purpose and work and community. And obviously not having our typical Sunday gatherings, not just our church, but churches all over, what church is, looks and feels very different. And that kind of comes along with what we've been saying for a while now, that the church is who we are with the people. It's not a building, it's not an appointment time, it's who we are as a people. And it's forcing us to adapt to different rhythms. And previously we had said, I think back in January, when we were kind of going through the mission and vision of Point Church, just the ways of that we see growing as a disciple. And we laid out three kind of areas. There's the Sunday gathering, there's life groups, and there's DNA groups. And Sunday is where we kind of come together. It's almost like a family reunion, and we sit under teaching together, and we just enjoy the Spirit of God just there and working. It's where we take communion. It's where we see baptisms. It's a very important space, but it's not the only space. And we were emphasizing the importance of life groups. And in life groups, we come together and we care for one another. We get to know one another. We serve together. We apply truth together, and we talk, and we try to form those bonds, and we try to form that depth. And life groups are just super important, and we were encouraging those, and we saw many people get into groups, and we're seeing growth there, and that's wonderful. But there's that third piece, that DNA piece, and it's probably been the least emphasized one, but it's this space where we gather in smaller groups of 3 or 4 men or women, and it's the space that's most intimate, the space that's most open-ended, and the place to really unpack a lot. We can talk about community in life groups, and community exists in life groups, and it needs to exist in life groups, but that kind of life group space isn't really, if there's 12 people in your life group, each one of those 12 people can't give like a 30-minute update every week on where they are. It would be too long. We need that smaller space. And it's really, I think, where change happens the most, where we feel bonded the most, where we feel known the most, and where we can really, that struggle to see all of life through that gospel lens, I think really can be strengthened the most just through our brothers and sisters. And so in this confusing time, right, Sunday looks really different, right? We're not gathering on Sunday, and we're still going through the story of God together. There's still a corporate feel. It's just not in person, and it's kind of alien feeling. And similarly with our life groups, and once again, if you're not in one, it's absolutely core to who we are as a church body. And life groups, where I'm still enjoying it. I love seeing the difference, maybe the different beats of it. But through this time where we're limited to no gatherings over 10, life groups are more or less virtual now. And just Zoom communications, I mean, even me communicating with y'all through this video just feels alien, and I hate it. But it's the best we have, and it still serves a purpose. But there is this DNA place where in groups of 3 and 4, we still can have that human touch. Now, I don't mean this as a mandate. This is where Christian freedom comes in, and we're all in different places, and we all have different convictions. And like I said, some of us are in just different high-risk populations for the effects of this disease. And so by no means is this a requirement or something that I'm saying or the elders are saying has to be done. But I do think this is a space, especially for those who feel disconnected and are just longing for that human connection, to really strengthen this DNA space. If you're not already in one, and I'm in one, and it's been a lifeline. And I have guys coming over tonight even, 3 other guys, and we're going to watch a movie and we're going to talk about that movie, and we're going to connect it to God's big story, and we're going to use it to understand our own hearts and what's going on in our lives. And it's a super rewarding time. In DNA group, it really is just being friends, right? And so if you're in one, don't feel like you can't, if you're all in agreement and you all take the typical precautions, right? Wash your hands. If you're sneezing up a storm or coughing and hacking, probably don't meet. If you have a temperature, right? Like, be responsible. Don't hold it as the end all be all. But if you're otherwise healthy and otherwise taking precautions, and if you're all in faith together for it, I don't see any reason. I don't want you to hear anything. There's nothing from the government authorities, and I don't want you to hear anything from church leadership saying that absolutely all in-person contact is unequivocally barred. And so if that sounds good to you, be proactive. That's maybe, I know for me, when I lapse into feeling disconnected, it's usually because I'm not being proactive. And there is a burden and a call for us to create that kind of community. And if we're all sitting around waiting for someone to reach out to us, everyone's going to feel disconnected and lonely. And so if you are in a group and you're not in a DNA group, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not going through a curriculum. It really is just get together and just start the process of building relational intimacy. Hear each other's stories, watch movies together, just whatever it is that you can forge together, just start that process. And you'll be amazed at what the Spirit does. Because when you have Jesus in common, when you have this common gospel perspective, you have everything in common. People who maybe you don't click with on the surface, when you start digging into those deeper things, you can be amazed at what comes out. And like I said, we're creatures with many needs, right? Like we have emotional needs, we have physical needs, we have mental needs, we have just spiritual needs, and we can't just neglect those things because we're in this awkward time. Now we have to balance things. And we do that with wisdom, and then we do that with an eye towards how we can love and serve our neighbors and what obedience to what it really means to be God's people looks like. But I do believe that there is this space, and I do believe that as a church body, we can engage in this space and we can really try to use this time redemptively to build up this DNA group space. I would love to see more connections made, more groups made that Lord willing, when we exit this season soon, we will still be able to carry these DNA group connections forward. And I think that will be a great benefit to all who engage, and then collectively for us as our mission of being Point Church together. And so, just wanted to share what was on my heart. Wanted to empathize. I know I'm not alone, and I've heard from plenty of people just this feeling of disconnectedness. And so I really feel that a lot can be gained through very small interactions in these smaller groups. And so I hope this finds you well. I hope this is encouraging. I hope to see so many of you soon. It really is hard, and it's okay to say that. I'm very ready. And so please know that it's not for any lack of desire on the part of the elders or leaders in this church. As soon as it's responsible and as soon as it feels like the right thing to do, I promise you, I will very joyously look forward to that first week back. So love you guys. I'm here. The other elders are here. Your life group leaders are here. If you're in one, stay in one. Be proactive. Don't just wait for people to reach out to you. And if you're not in one, please reach out. You can reach out to me or any of the elders. If there's a small group leader, reach out to them. We earnestly desire and hunger to see connection and thriving throughout adversity. That's kind of one of the features of God's people. God isn't changing, and this isn't taking him by surprise. So there's always something to be taken from this, even in hard circumstances. So I've rambled on enough. I hope you made it to the end. Love you guys. Bye.